Dr. Madhupati, for this kind introduction. Karnataka State Akkamahadevi University is not new to me. I have been associated with this university from the inception of the university till very recently. And only because of, I would have loved to travel and see all of you physically meeting. In fact, I don't think physical classrooms can ever be substituted by any other mode. But given the current context and then the pandemic in which we are living, I think this is the best way to meet. This is a virtual meeting. I thank all of you for inviting me here and asking me to speak on this research proposal writing, research integrity, and then plagiarism. I hope Professor Kamshiti is there. May not
sir,
be
no,
there.
sir.
Okay.
He not available today, sir.
Okay. So welcome to all of you. I'll be talking on research proposal, research integrity, and then plagiarism. I hope all of you can understand that the entire gamut of all these issues cannot be covered in, let's say, 1 hour, 15 minutes up to 450. We go up to 450. Madhupati? Okay, I think it is up to 4:15, and therefore I'll try to see whatever best I can do in this time that is allotted to me. So let me go to the next. The flow of presentation goes like this: research proposal, writing a proposal, writing an abstract, writing introduction, then writing literature review. I would not be talking about all these literature hypotheses and then the methodology in detail, but then when we are writing a proposal, research proposal, I think these are integral part of the entire thing, and therefore this would be touched upon very briefly. Then research anxieties. We have different, I think researchers will go through the research anxieties, and therefore briefly I will talk about the research anxieties also. Now I hope all of you are able to see the screen there. Can one of you come online and then tell me whether you are able to see the screen and also hear me?
Yes, sir. You are visible as well as the screen is visible.
Okay, fine. Now I'll just read a few sentences and I'll not read the entire thing verbatim. In planning for submission, that is writing a proposal, an applicant should plan enough time for multiple, at least 3 drafts to be reviewed by the supervisor and other faculty volunteers, and for the proposal to be reviewed and signed by the committees in the school where they are graduating, including the dean. This only says that when you are writing a proposal, that proposal would naturally be seen by the supervisor, research supervisor number 1, and then your faculty colleagues, if your faculty colleagues can help, your faculty colleagues can also see these proposals. Then the co-researchers, if you have senior researchers should also be able to see these things. Then ultimately it goes to the dean. It is proposed that this is the way the research proposal goes through. But in certain cases, it may not go through all these things. But the gist is this: a researcher cannot just rush through all these things in a single day and say that, okay, I have written a proposal. You should, according to me, go through the proposal. And when you write a proposal, you should be able to see yourself how that proposal looks like. Read the proposal once, read what you have written, and revise it, because when you read and then reread again, you might come to a conclusion that what you have written is not right, and then therefore the first draft you have to read and then find out what is the problem. Second draft, third draft, and maybe, there are certain editors of the journals, very good journals, editors of very good journals have suggested in one of the international workshops that I was attending, if you are going through the top class journals of the entire world, you should be able to revise your manuscript up to 30 times. So you can just imagine, if your manuscript has to be revised 30 times, what is the total amount of time that you should be spending, and then the number of reviews that it goes through. So you should have enough time for all these things for somebody to go through and then make the suggestion. Now, what should you address in this research proposal? The proposal should have sufficient information. It is needless to say that It should have information about various aspects which we will be going through now. What you plan to accomplish, your proposal should say what you plan to accomplish. Why do you want to do it? The reason why you want to do it. And how are you going to do it? Why do you want to do it? Maybe that addresses your question of research gap, literature, hypothesis, and these things. How are you going to do it? This addresses the issue relating to methods and then the methodology. Entire your research design, sampling design, and then certain models that you're going to use if you have models. So deciding the appropriate title. Now, when we decide what should be the appropriate title for the work, normally I advise my students, title should speak of itself. Title should convey what is the content of the proposal that you have written. So the title should be formulated in such a way that even if you do not go through the content, you should be able to imagine at least about 50% of the content of this proposal. So that's the title. It should speak to itself. Yeah, somebody is raising hand. You have anything? Okay, maybe I'll cover another 2-3 points and then you can come. Then after deciding about the title, of course, you can also come back to the title after the entire contents are finalized. You can have a tentative title, write your proposal, and when you revisit the title, perhaps you might say that my title is not appropriately reflecting the contents and therefore I would like to revise the title. That can be done. It is possible that it is only a tentative title initially when you are.
There's some very important variables. I'll move on to the next part of the curricular stuff, which is very.
Yeah. Hello. You're able to hear or not? You're able to hear? Yeah. Okay. Now writing abstract. Now after you decide the title, normally we say that the proposal, research proposal should have an abstract. And how should you write the abstract? And what is the total number of words?
It focuses a lot on the matter of how to reform examinations, how to reform assessment. Because all of us know, in Hindi we say that Bharat mein shiksha tantra nahi hai, pariksha tantra hai. We say duty, but it's true. So pariksha focused.
Something else is audible, right? You are hearing something else also? Yeah, because let me just see what is the problem here.
Focus in the policy on how assessment, examination, boards should be made, such that assessment one is formative. It is
just let me just see whether I have another screen opened. I'll close that screen and come back again.
Sir, any problem, sir?
ಅಲ್ಲ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇರೆ ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಇದನ್ನು ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ
sir, writing abstract and the screen.
So shall I start with that? Okay, writing abstract.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
yes. Now the abstract should be reflective of the contents of the proposal. The number of words that an abstract should contain will depend on the organization. Sometimes in certain, if it is a journal, normally the journal will say so many words. You should not go beyond certain number of words. And therefore, if number of words is prescribed, you should go by the number of words that is prescribed. If number of words is not prescribed, normally the research proposal abstract should not go beyond 300 to 500. That's the range, 300 to 500. And when you are writing the abstract, what should be contained in the abstract? Because the number of words is limited. Suppose you are asked to write in 250 words or 300 words. What should you write in the abstract? Normally, we expect that in the abstract, you are not going to discuss the literature. But then, if you are working on very specific work whose leading theme is advocated by somebody, perhaps you can quote that. And then in one sentence, you can say that what has not been addressed in this particular paper or the work I'm going to address. And simultaneously, you should be saying what is the methodology in one sentence and what is likely to be the hypothesis you are proposing for this. And perhaps if you are able to tell the methodology and then the models without writing the models, but then you can say that these are the techniques that you are going to use. Abstract, this is the investigators, that is researchers' opportunity to make a fast, good impression in the proposal, and sufficient time should be spent on this. Please understand again that it is extremely difficult to write an abstract. You can write the entire proposal, but then writing the proposal abstract requires skills, and only after you go through these things repeatedly, perhaps you would be able to finalize what would be the abstract. Abstract should be comprehensive summation of the entire proposal that you are trying to put up.
It assesses
this section
the and the important
is often overlooked, but first impressions are always important. Abstract is similar or even identical. If the abstract is similar or identical to the introduction, then perhaps the readers might get disinterested. Sometimes what we do is we ask the students to write the abstract. You will copy some sentence from the introduction, some sentence from methodology, some sentence from the conclusion, some sentence from the literature review. When you put all these sentences together and then say that that is an abstract, a reader can definitely make out, because there will not be continuity in that type of cut and paste. Abstract should be written independently after you perhaps imagine what should be the content of the entire thing. Crafting the abstract can be difficult. It is usually written after the contents of the proposals are finalized. The whole scope of the study can be summarized in an abstract. Abstract must be extremely well-polished document that can stand alone from rest of the proposal. Now, why your research proposal? After that, after the abstract is over, this is what you're going to address in your research proposal. You have proven, you have a research idea that you are familiar with the field and that you have some new idea. You want to prove that you have some research idea, and therefore your research proposal should speak about that. Why should your project be worth researching? Suppose you write a proposal and somebody asks, justify why should somebody spend time and cost on this? So that's your research project. What is the worth of your research project? Is it because it advances new knowledge? Or is it because it expands the existing knowledge? In the academic research, it may not always be possible for us to find out new things, but perhaps what is existing, you might be able to add something and then say that it advances the knowledge in a particular field. So that's what is to be contained in the research proposal. But you should simultaneously justify, is this knowledge that anybody will need? Why do you think this knowledge is required? If you say that, okay, this advances the knowledge, you should be able to justify what is going to be the utility of this knowledge. Now, one of the things which all of you should remember is when I say, is this knowledge that anybody will need, I'm not talking about the immediate need of the knowledge. Even if you are able to imagine 1 century ahead and then say that, okay, this is what somebody will need 1 century from now, that's the justification that you can give. Or you can, in an abstract way, highly theoretical way, think, fine, this is what I'm going to find, and this is what I'm going to propose. I don't know what is the immediate implication of this, immediate, say, knowledge base of this, but I still have this, and therefore I'm going to put this particular model. You might say that. Possibly you may not know the immediate application of that. It may not have the application perhaps in 10 years from now, 20 years from now, and even 50 years from now. But somebody imagines that this is going to be of some use someday. And what is that someday? When will it come? He may not be able to imagine, but still he justifies. I'll just cite one example. When we were students, we were taught this, calculus, integral calculus, and then differential calculus. When somebody proposed the calculus, I'm not very sure whether he knew that calculus would be used one day by somebody. Example that I can cite is, I hope all of you have heard of ISRO. ISRO, when it is launching the satellites, it uses calculus. Now, how does it use? It finds out what is the angle with which a satellite should take off from the launching pad. And if it takes off from this angle, what is the speed? Where would it go? Would it find its geostationary orbit? So when somebody finds out that this is what I'm going to find and this is what I'm going to advance, they may not have the knowledge of immediate application. I'm not very sure whether somebody who proposed integral calculus knew that one day space research organizations are going to use this calculus, advanced calculus. But today it is being used. And when somebody proposed something, satellites being launched, I don't know whether somebody had imagined that you will have mobile phones and all this mobile technology would use the satellite imageries. And then all of you would be able to see everything and perhaps talk to any person in any corner of the world using a small gadget. But nonetheless, somebody found that this would be useful. Okay, why write a good proposal? The quality of your research proposal depends not only on the quality of your proposed research, but also on the quality of proposal writing. Sometimes, the proposal may be a very good proposal, but if the quality of writing is very bad, somebody would say, this is in the hands of a wrong person and therefore it should not be encouraged. A good research proposal may run the risk of being rejection simply because the proposal is poorly written, very poorly written. It pays if your writing is coherent, clear, and compelling. So that's the reason why you should be writing good proposal. Remember, you may have a wonderful idea, but if you are not able to express that wonderful idea in a very coherent way, it may stand to get rejected. Now, how to write a research proposal? Most students and beginning researchers do not fully understand what a research proposal means, nor do they understand its importance. One's research is only as good as one's proposal. You may have a good idea, but if the proposal is poorly written, they may form an opinion that you may not be able to carry on this type of research. An ill-conceived proposal dooms the project, even if somehow it gets through the supervisory committee. That is, we have these doctoral committees and these things, and we call that as supervisory committee. A high-quality proposal. A research proposal is intended to convince others that you have worthwhile research plan, you have worthwhile research idea, and you have competence and then the work plan to do. That's the convincing that you have to do in your research proposal. Generally, a research proposal should contain all the key elements involved in the research process and include sufficient information for all the readers to evaluate the research study. That is your methodology and some of these things. Now, writing an introduction. After the abstract is over, normally we write the introduction, and this introduction may have the wording heading introduction, may not have the wording introduction, but you will start off with this. The main purpose of the introduction is to provide the necessary background or context for your research problem. There are no hard and fast rules. A lot depends on your creativity. Now, what should an introduction contain? Again, it says that there are no hard and fast rule. But generally, we agree that an introduction should introduce the proposal, introduce the research idea, introduce the research that you are going to undertake. And when you are introducing the research idea, very naturally, you should also bring in the people who have made contribution to this. That is, you have to bring in even if you have an independent chapter on literature, you should be able to bring prominent literature when you are writing introduction, because you cannot introduce a subject and then you cannot justify your own work stating that you're going to work on this without bringing the prominent works that have been undertaken in that area. Therefore, introduction should be introducing the topic, bringing in the mainstream literature, and that mainstream literature through your arguments should give rise to the problem statement or the research questions. And research questions should naturally lead to your research objectives. And from the research questions, we navigate to the research objectives, and from there we navigate and propose what are called as the research hypothesis. Now, sometimes certain types of research may have hypothesis, certain types of research may not have hypothesis. Then when you are writing the proposal again, a proposal may contain the heading research hypothesis, may not contain the heading research hypothesis. Once again, we have more or less standardized in the university system that you should have introduction and the research questions, that is with heading, and then research objectives, again with research objectives as the heading, and then hypothesis, all these things. But if you see, if you see a very well-written proposal, and if you see a paper that appears in the top class journals of the world, you would really see that these things are embedded in the running sentences. They don't put the heading research hypothesis. They don't put the heading called objectives of the study and all these things. But as you go through the entire text, you will understand that these things are written as running sentences rather than as different headings. But it depends on as very specific requirements for the institutions. But for PhD research proposals, normally we expect that it should have the headings like your introduction, research objectives, hypothesis, and these things. Now, again, introduction to the research proposal writing. Even though proposal is not Nobel Prize yet, the proposal presupposes that you will add something to what has already been known, that is previously known on the subject you have, or that has been researched. It also should demonstrate that you are capable of making such a contribution. That is, you are proposing that you will make this contribution, and your writing should demonstrate that you are capable of making that type of a contribution. Write a research proposal that meets certain standards. And what are these standards? You would get perhaps by reading certain good proposals. The goal of a research proposal is to present and justify a research idea. Now, research proposals enter competition for funding. Now, in case, research proposals are written for some scholarships, because if the students want to go abroad, then proposals have to be written. And when you write the proposal and send it to the university where you want to go, perhaps all these things will require some type of funding, and you would be asking for scholarships, fee waivers, and some of these things. And naturally, these things will enter competition. And please remember, competitions would be tough on the international level. And therefore, if your proposal has to be accepted, naturally, the research proposal has to be a very coherent one, and you should be able to demonstrate that your research idea is good. Now, introduction generally covers the following elements. It states the research problems. It provides the context and set the stage for the proposed work, presents the rationale of your proposed study. It briefly describes the major issues and sub-problems. That is the major debate that is taking place in the area that you are proposing to work. Identify the key independent and dependent variables in case you have some type of an empirical research or an experimental type of work. If it is a lab setting for science research, you will have an experiment where you would talk about the dependent and then independent variables. Now, what should the introduction cover? Specify the phenomenon that you want to study. State your hypothesis or theory, if any. I have stated this, if any, because a well-written proposal may have a hypothesis, may not have a hypothesis, but a running sentence might argue certain things, and that itself can be taken as a hypothesis. For exploratory or phenomenological research, you may not have any hypothesis. Set the delimitation or boundaries, provide the definitions of key concepts. Set the delimitations or boundaries. How do you delimit or set the boundaries? Boundaries could be in terms of the time period. This is the time period that I'm going to take. It could be in terms of the geographical areas that you're going to cover. It could be in terms of the number of respondents whom you're going to cover. It could be in terms of the number of institutions or the number of companies that you're going to study. So boundaries have to be very clear in terms of time, in terms of number of respondents, in terms of geographical boundaries, in terms of number of companies. So you have to set all these things. Otherwise, if it is a very loose proposal, people might think that you do not have a clear idea of what the contents of the entire proposal is. Provide definitions of key concepts. If they are universally accepted concepts, you don't need to separately provide definitions of the concepts. But if you are not going to use those concepts in the same sense in which everybody else is using, then you have to define these terms, and we normally call these as operational definitions of the terms. One example that I can cite is, let's say I'm talking about intelligence. In education, I think people research about intelligence, and then maybe in marketing, we talk about advertisement, effectiveness of advertisement. How do you define? Your advertisement is very effective. Now you have to define, how do you assess the effectiveness of advertising according to your research? Again, if you are talking about intelligence, there is no uniformly and universally accepted definition of intelligence. Now, how are you going to measure the intelligence in your research? So you have to give the operational definitions of the terms which are not obvious, and if you are not using them in the universally defined language. Now, your research proposal has to answer these three big questions. What research proposal will you undertake? Why is it important to know that work that you are going to undertake? How will you proceed to make that research? These three questions have to be answered. Okay, I think somebody wanted to ask someone something. So before I take up this hypothesis and other things, can someone raise their hand and they wanted to ask something? If you have, I can answer. Okay, maybe I'll come back again, and if you have questions, you can ask those questions. Now, your abstract introduction and a very brief arguments that you're going to give for your work in terms of coverage of the literature, it should give rise to the research problems, and that research problem should lead to the research objectives. And after objectives are defined, we normally come to the hypothesis formulation. If your research proposal requires the hypothesis, then propose those hypotheses. If your research proposal does not require the hypothesis, you don't need to propose the hypothesis. Suppose you have to write the hypothesis. This is the way you would write the hypothesis. The first question that you're going to ask yourself when you propose a hypothesis is, can this hypothesis be tested by me? If you propose a statement, can this statement be tested? This is one of the questions that you have to ask. And again, a priori, that is before the research is undertaken, you should ask one more question. That one more question is, what is likely to be the result of this hypothesis testing? So if the result of this hypothesis testing is known to you without any doubt, even before conducting the research, you don't need to propose that as a hypothesis because you already know the answer for that. You don't need to spend your time and then again energy and time, cost. Don't need to incur all these things to say what you already know. Therefore, in summary, I would say that when you are making a statement and calling that statement as a research hypothesis, the answer for that research hypothesis should not be known to you. Tentative answers could be known, but definitive answers are not known to you. If you know the definite answer, then that cannot be proposed as a research hypothesis. If you have a question mark on the answer, perhaps it can become a research hypothesis. Research hypothesis has to be specific, concise, and it should lead to advancement of knowledge in the field in some. Writing the hypothesis in a concise manner comes with a lot of difficulty. This is actually the core of your application. That is, entire proposal may be summarized in one sentence, one statement that you're going to state. So research hypothesis has to be written very carefully. Hypothesis argues and presents an answer. It argues a priori and presents an answer. When I say presents an answer, it is not the answer that you're going to get, but one of the possible answers. It argues a priori, that is before the research is conducted, that this is the result. This is likely to be the result. You may accept that, may not accept that. Research question than a research hypothesis. Somebody might say, I'll put a research question rather than a research hypothesis. That is fine. Certain types of works can have research questions rather than research hypothesis, or it can have both. Now, proposal on trendy area. If there is a subject that is trending, that is currently it is being researched, then can I undertake research on that? The researcher will have to decide whether it is worthwhile. One of the risks that you would be running in addressing in trendy area, of course, I'll also talk about the advantage of that, is there will be many people who would be working. And before you complete your work, if somebody has already advocated what you wanted to advocate in your research, then your research proposal has already been discussed by someone. And therefore, somebody might say, what have you done? Somebody has already said that. So that's the risk that you are undertaking. And therefore, you can't afford to waste time on trendy areas. That is, when you take a trendy area, you have to go very fast and you should be the first one to talk about the possible solution for those trendy areas. But of course, the greatest advantage of this trendy area is everybody is talking about this. People want solutions on these things. And perhaps somebody would accept these because they want solutions for this. That's trendy area. Now, if you are one of those who are working in this field, try to get a fresh point of view upon the subject, make a new connection, Don't be 100% mainstream. That is, you don't need to agree with everything that others say. What if someone has already said that this is the risk that you are running in Trendy area? Now, again, as part of the research proposal, you would be writing the research review, literature review, and please understand the word, it is literature review. Writing your proposal is to provide that particular piece of research has not been done yet. This section is usually called the research literature review. And somebody would say the literature review serves several important functions. One is it ensures that you are not reinventing the wheel as a wheel. It gives credit to those who have laid the groundwork or foundation for this, shows your ability to critically evaluate relevant literature information. So that's literature review serves several of these purposes. And I again emphasize the word review. It indicates your ability to integrate and synthesize the existing literature. Now, one of the things that I have seen in many of these things, it provides the new theoretical insights or develops a new model as the conceptual framework for your research. That is literature review. And before we pass to the methodology, please understand the word, it is review. Most of us, what we try to do is, we see some literature, see the abstract, see the conclusions, and after I see the abstract and the conclusions,
must interpret what I am saying in the limited way I am saying, that this policy is actually teacher-centric.
I think somebody.
So whenever I have said this,
somebody has put on the video. Just check. Okay. When we are talking about the list or literature review, please understand that it is reviewing the work of somebody. You are not just making a summary of what others have already
said. Just a moment, I will mute all.
Yeah.
Once again, unmute you. So kindly unmute yourself once again, sir. I will mute now.
Policy is very focused.
Okay, just unmute. I should unmute.
Yes, sir. Unmute yourself. Yes, sir. Now it's fine.
Now it's okay?
Yes, sir. Now it's okay.
Because some other voice is coming.
Yes, sir. I hope some of the participants have unmuted them, sir.
Okay. All right. I can
Yes,
go
sir.
ahead.
Yes, sir. It's fine now.
Now the next section of the research proposal is methodology. Try before writing your research proposal to read a bit more about the methodology. Most difficult part of writing the research proposal is the methodology section. What actions are you going to take in order to answer the research questions and also to achieve the research objectives? And if you have proposed the hypothesis, your methodology will also tell you how are you going to address the question, research questions, how will you achieve the research objectives, and then how will you test the research hypothesis that you have proposed. Those tests and the way you are supposed to handle them, you have to talk about the rigor. Is that methodology that you are talking?
And then not provide basic service conditions. If we have women teachers teaching in distant rural areas and their school don't have a functioning.
Matpati, any?
Sir, no, sir. All the participants are in mute itself.
Okay, but I don't know whether it is problem with my side. I was also trying to go through and.
Toilet. How can we expect them to teach it?
Is there any background sound from your end, sir?
From my side?
Yes, sir.
In that case, I don't know
how. Any other applications open like YouTube or other things? The sound may be coming.
Possible.
Yes.
What I should I should close this and then.
Sir, just escape, press the escape button.
Okay.
Now your all the bars would be visible to you, sir.
Yeah.
At the bottom of the screen.
Let me just close this mail because I wanted to close the mail.
Now it is not audible, sir.
Now it's not audible?
Yes, sir.
It's okay now?
Yes, sir. It is okay now, sir.
Okay. Shall I?
Yes, sir. You shall start.
You're able to see the screen also?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. If you are proposing certain statistical tests, you will have to specify what are the statistical tests that you are going to use to answer the questions and achieve the objectives and also to test the hypothesis. Now, which methods? Qualitative methods like your interviews, questionnaires, and those things you will have to specify in your work. And then quantitative tools, statistical tools, and then any other quantitative models that you're going to use in your work, you have to specify. And if you are using the mix of these two, you'll have to specify what are the qualitative and then the quantitative tools which you will be using as a mix of these two. You should pick your methods and justify the choice, because when somebody is reviewing your work, it's possible that somebody might say that the entire work suffers from methodological limitations. So that becomes a big issue, and your conclusions, someone would argue that they are not acceptable because you have not used the appropriate methodology. So you have to be very careful on the methodology that you have proposed and then the models that you have proposed. Quantitative studies, what methods section should contain? What is the content of the method section? Design. Is it a questionnaire study or a laboratory experiment? But of course, in commerce management and some of these social sciences, it's not a laboratory experiment, but it would be a questionnaire, or you could be using the secondary data. So what is the type of methodology that you're going to use? What kind of design do you choose? Now, who are your subjects and then the respondents? What kind of measuring instruments that you're going to use? Measuring instruments in our case could be questionnaires, it could be interviews. If it is secondary data, you're not going to use the measuring instrument, but somebody else will have used these measuring instruments. Now the procedure also, you should also talk about this procedure. How do you plan to carry out your study? What activities are involved? How long does it take? Normally the time span is also specified. General points on how to write. Try to place your research question in the context of either current hot area or an older area that remains viable. Even if you are taking the research that is already done, you should be able to specify how this is relevant even today. You need to provide a brief and appropriate historical backdrop for the subject that you are proposing. Provide contemporary context for this. If you are proposing
making sure that adequate number of features are implemented.
Now identify key players and refer to the most relevant and then representative publications. That is your part of research, literature review. Then the results analysis. Your research proposal should also talk about the results analysis. How are you going to analyze your results? When you are proposing, you might argue that you don't know what these results are. You may not know the results, but then you have proposed the methodology, you have proposed the research questions, you have also discussed about your research objectives. Then how are you going to analyze these results? You would say that you will refer to your methodology, and then you will refer to the results of others and make a comparison between your results and then other results. Perhaps you can give a very brief idea about what these results section will contain. You may not analyze, but then the contents of this discussion of the impact of research. What is likely to be the impact of the research that you are undertaking? That should also be part of your work. Then references and sources of the materials. What are the references that you are going to use? And what is the source of the materials that you have used for, you propose to use for your work? Now, sometimes there has to be a training plan. Suppose you are using the questionnaires and then you are proposing to collect the data from a large number of respondents, and you yourself is not able to meet all these respondents, but you would ask somebody to help you. That is, you will send the enumerators. Now, if you are sending the enumerators to help you out in collecting the data, naturally you have to ensure that all the enumerators are all those who are going to administer the questionnaire on your behalf understand your instrument in the same sense in which you have understood this. That is, there has to be uniformity in the understanding of every term, every question, every possible response. And therefore, you may have to have some type of training plan. And in science and then engineering research, this training plan could involve working on the instrument that you're going to use. So that's the training plan. Selecting a sponsor and then co-sponsor. Sometimes if your research proposal is on a topic which is sponsored by somebody, that is, you have a big question and that question is investigated on behalf of some organization. So you can select the sponsors and then the co-sponsors for this. Then the research proposal should begin with a brief introduction that is not titled normally. In this section, problem needs to be addressed. And then introduction, I have just now told what is this research experience. Research experience will tell you how these things, resources and then the environment. Normally the proposal should also contain what are the resources that you have and what are the resource environment. Part of an application is a section titled resources and then environment. Suppose you are making a proposal and then you would say that, okay, fine, I'm going to undertake research on this. Your proposal should also say what is the research facility that you already have. Do you have facility for the experiments? Do you have the softwares? Do you have the equipments? All those things you'll have to specify. That is the resources and then environment. Then these are anxieties in writing a research proposal. There can be, I'll not elaborate on all these things. The role of library anxiety, that is, you need to go and sit in the library, search for the literature. That could be an anxiety. Some people do not like the numbers. It could be statistics anxiety. Then composing. How will I get to know how to write? So that's, you have an anxiety. And then the content, what should be the contents of this? What is the process that I would use? What are the resources? That can be mechanical. Suppose you are using some machines, it could be a mechanical. Format and organizational anxiety. That is, it may, in certain cases, the formats may not be prescribed, but you may have to have your own format, evolve your own format. Now, fear of negative evaluation. Somebody might fear that somebody would say that this proposal is not worth researching. In that case, researcher may have to be very careful while writing the research. Fear of research language. Many students found becoming familiar with research terminology have a daunting task of using appropriate language. That comes by cultivation. Application of research knowledge. Fear of application of research knowledge. You know, this is one of the standard questions which most of the interviewers will ask in a research. Say, after you complete your research, what is the immediate application of this? If you are advancing in knowledge, it may not have immediate application. It could be a proposal on the existing problem. That's possible. But if it is not a proposal on the existing problem, but you have some abstract idea and you are going to investigate on this abstract idea, it's advancement of knowledge and you should be able to justify that. Now, getting started is the best way. That is, you have to start, and that is the best way. Start early and follow the directions, make friends with other researchers, and write clearly and persuasively. Now, have a specific, very specific aims for this. Now, preliminary studies, you may have to do some type of literature search, initial literature search. And in the initial literature search, you may feel that I'm not able to follow head or tail of this, and how are you going to work? I think
Seems some technical problem. Sir will join within a few minutes again. Just a few minutes, please. Friends, will be having a valedictory section at 4:15 p.m. If anybody is interested to give their feedback, kindly let me know well in advance so that I can unmute them. Yeah. Yes. Friends, now I have allowed the participants to unmute themselves. So if you wish that you can give a feedback, then you can unmute yourself and you can give a feedback when it is asked. So within a few minutes, we shall start up with the question and answer session. Then we shall start up with the valedictory section. Thank you.
Yes. Sanjeev sir, start your audio please. Sir, join in ಅಂತ ಕೊಟ್ರೆ ಮೀಟಿಂಗ್ ಐಡಿ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ತಲ್ಲ.
Yeah. Just check whether you are able to hear. Huh. Allah, you are able to hear? Just check whether you are able to hear. Huh? ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ? Okay. I think we will move a little faster. Okay, I hope all of you are able to see the screen. I'm sorry for the trouble because there was some issue relating to the internet connection here.
Yes, sir, you need to share the screen again, sir.
Yeah, I've done that.
No, sir, again you have to share the screen.
ಅಲ್ಲ ಈಗ ನನಗೆ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇದೆ.
ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, Zoom ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಿ share screen ಅಂತ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು.
I should go to Zoom, share screen. ಒಂದು ನಿಮಿಷ.
Yes, sir. Now it has started the sharing screen. Now your screen is visible, sir.
Visible?
Yes.
I'll make it full screen. I think we'll go through like this only because
This would be fine, sir.
okay.
Visible.
Okay, common mistakes in writing the research proposals: failure to provide the proper context or framework for the research question, failure to delimit the boundaries or conditions, then failure to cite landmark studies. This is one of the things that somebody has to remember when you are writing the research proposal. If there are landmark studies that you can't avoid, and if your work does not contain these things, somebody will think that you are not even aware of the main works, and therefore you should not commit that mistake. Now, too many citation lapses is also one of the big issues that you need to avoid. That is, if there are good works in your own area that you propose to work, and if you are not cited those things, or incorrect references, that's also one of the things. Too long or too short, that is, if your citations, that is, references are too long and too short, that is also one of the things. Now, next issue is research integrity and then plagiarism. This is, I'll quickly run through this. Research integrity, research addresses, research integrity addresses the main questions relating to fabrication, falsification, and then plagiarism. When you say integrity, there are lots of issues involved in this, but some of those issues we will take up here. Fabrication, that is, if somebody is talking about the data, you try to add your own data, fabricate the data, data that does not exist, but then you add, that's one. And then falsification, there is a data, but that data does not seem to support the hypothesis. You want to accept the hypothesis or reject the hypothesis, but the data that you have collected does not support the type of conclusions that you want to draw, and you falsify that data. That's another integrity. And then plagiarism. That is, somebody else's work is being copied by you. Fabrication means making up the data or results and recording or reporting them. Falsification means manipulating the research materials, equipments. Examples of misconduct is image manipulation. It does not come in our work, but then in science, this is one of the main thing. Data fabrication, data omission or suppression. Then plagiarism is another issue that we normally talk of. Then quickly, we can recapitulate about the plagiarism. Plagiarism means the appropriation of another person's idea, processes, results, or words without giving appropriate credit to others. Research misconduct does not include honest error or differences of opinion. There can be a honest error, and that error has to be corrected. What are the forms of plagiarism? There are many, but then some maybe I just reflect on these things. Publishing someone else's work as your own work. Naturally, I hope I don't need to give any explanation on this. Somebody presents a paper in a conference, and then that conference entire papers are distributed to you either in the soft form or in the hard copy form. And then you remove the author's name and publish that as your own work, thinking that nobody will see. That's plagiarism. That is copying entire thing, copying the passage of others without citing. Somebody else's work, you copy the passages here and there, sentences here and there, and you don't give credit to the people who have written. That's plagiarism. Copying one's own work without citing is also a plagiarism. That is my own work published earlier without citing. That is also a plagiarism. Wrongly citing others, that also comes in plagiarism. Wrongly citing one's own work is also plagiarism. Borrowing ideas without acknowledging, that is with borrowing ideas and then the conclusions, then the methodologies without acknowledging, that's also. Citing and borrowing a lot of materials from others. You may cite, but then let's say 60% of the materials that you write in your work is somebody else's, not yours. That is also a form of plagiarism. What are the consequences of plagiarism? I think I will just put the summary of this. UGC grant, that is University Grants Commission notification, on promotion of academic integrity and prevention of plagiarism in higher education institutions, regulations 2018. This can be downloaded by anyone, and it is available in the internet, 2008 regulations. You can just read the entire thing. It is available in the form of Gazette notification. It classifies the entire plagiarism into 3 levels. One is level 0, level 1, level 2, level 3, 4 levels. Similarity index, they call it a similarity index. Similarity index up to 10% is minor similarities and no action is initiated. Then you have a similarity index between 10% and 40%, 40% and 60%, then above 60%. Now, these are the 4 levels that the UGC has specified in their work, and they have discussed what is the punishment for the people who indulge in this type of plagiarism. They have given the punishment, what are the types of punishments that can be given to the student who is involved and also the teacher who is supervising. The student who is involved, if it is less than 10%, that is level 0, no penalty, it is only minor corrections need to be made. Between level 1, this is level 0, first one is level 0, level 1 is 0 to 40%. Students are advised to revise and resubmit within 6 months. That is the punishment. And level 2, I think this is level 0, level 1, level 2 is 40 to 60%. Students cannot submit for more than 1 year. And then if the plagiarism is found to be greater than 60%, registration is cancelled. You cannot again resubmit your work. Then simultaneously for the teachers who are supervising, if it is level 0, no punishment is involved. Level 1, that is 10 to 40%, withdraw the manuscript. That is, if you have sent it for publication, they would ask you to withdraw the manuscript. If it is 40 to 60%, withdraw the manuscript. Cannot supervise either the PG students or the MPhil students for, and then the PhD students for the next 1 year or next 2 years. Then 1 annual increment is to be suspended for those types of teachers. Then above 60%, they would be asked to withdraw the work or manuscript if they have sent it for the journals. Cannot supervise any of PG, MPhil or PhD for 3 years. Next 2 annual increments are cut. Then they have also prescribed for repeated, offense of these things. The students can be completely debarred from submission, and then the teachers can be suspended and they can be asked to go home. That is, dismissal is also one of the punishments that has been prescribed for the teachers. In the original proposal, that more than 60% was dismissal, but then subsequently they have modified and said that that would be only for repeated offenses. If you repeat the same offense again, then only the suspension and dismissal comes into picture. So this is in brief about research proposals, then academic integrity, and then plagiarism. In fact, each one of them can be discussed for one full day. I've just given the summary of these things. If you have quick questions, I can take those quick questions. Anybody? I think somebody wanted to ask a question. So if you want to ask, you can ask questions now.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yeah.
Mubina?
yes, sir.
Yeah, please raise the question quickly. Kindly
there are-
make sure you limit the questions for 2 to 3 questions. Itself.
Yes, sir. There are only 3 questions.
Yep.
The first question is from Litton. He's asking what should be the part of a literature review and how to write an analytical literature review.
Okay. Now, what should be the part? Question is this: I hope all of you are able to hear. What should be the
Yes,
parts of literature review, right?
yes, sir.
Okay. Literature review should briefly, that itself, when you are writing a proposal, I gave what should be the contents of the proposal. The literature review can also be undertaken in the similar sequence. That is, you can read an abstract and find out whether that literature is relevant for you. Abstract normally tells. If that abstract tells you that that is relevant for you, go through the introduction of the paper or the book that you are writing. Go through the introduction, then the research questions, objectives, hypothesis, methodology, research design, and then the analysis. In all these things, you have to put down these, and at the end, you should be able to synthesize and talk about, is the methodology appropriate? Is the sample adequate? Is the analysis good? And when you are making the analysis, has the researcher compared his own findings with others? If they are drastically different, why are they different? This is the way the literature review should be undertaken. Yeah, that's a quick answer.
The next question is from Vishnu Murthy, sir.
Yeah.
Where to write objectives and how many should be included in a research proposal?
Okay. Objectives should normally written at the end of the introduction. I told you that objectives can be written as part of the running sentence without the heading. But normally in the university research proposals, when you are proposing this for PhD work, we write an introduction that is followed by research question. In the introduction itself, you are covering the prominent works, that is the prominent debates citing the relevant literature, and then the trends in the debate. Then that gives rise to research questions, and research questions should give rise to the research objectives, followed by the hypothesis. So usually it is placed number 3 in the entire proposal that you are writing. Yeah.
The next question is there any upper limit for writing a research proposal, like number of pages?
This would depend on specific organization, but there is no hard and fast rule about the number of pages. It depends on, according to me, lesser the number of pages in which you can accommodate all your issues of research proposal, more knowledgeable you are. More the number of pages that you write in your research proposal, perhaps you need to revise and then need to go through that proposal again and again. Normally, we expect that it should not exceed 10 pages if you are writing a research proposal, but it can be about 5 pages. Approximately, you can take it as 5 pages. But if you feel that there are prominent works and you need to cite them, maximum limit could be about 10 pages. But that depends on specific organization. somebody will prescribe not more than 15 pages, somebody will say 10 pages. And some organizations would even prescribe the number of words. It should not be more than 1,500 words. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for your satisfactory answer.
Yes. Anyone else? Okay. Yeah.
Yep. Sir, kindly stop sharing your screen.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
It is in the upper middle of top screens. Okay.
you are sharing the screen. Stop share, right?
Yes, sir. Middle. Yes, sir. Stop screen. Okay. Sir. Thank you, sir.
Now, yes.
Okay. Now, my sincere thanks to Professor Mallikarjunappa sir for such a wonderful lecture. Though due to the time restriction, I hope and due to some technical difficulties as well.
And also
Sorry.
technology problem from my side.
Not at all, sir. Not at all. It is our. We are extremely sorry for giving you such a small time for
No,
this
that's
kind of topic.
In all the workshops and then seminars, this is what's going to happen. These are only triggers. You know,
Yes,
you
sir.
can't naturally discuss everything in these types of workshops. These are triggers, and you will pick up from all these points. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes, sir. Sir, now we'll start up with the valedictory function.
Fine. Yeah.
Yes. So, my dear participant friends, we have come to the end of this particular 1 week online workshop. First and foremost, I would like to thank all of you for actively participate in this 1 week program. For the valedictory function, we have Professor Mallikarjunappa sir itself as a chief guest for this valedictory. We do have a president, Professor Mallikarjuna Annal, Dean and Chairman of Department of Management. And we do have Professor Sanjeev Kumar, KM, Registry Evaluation, Gulbarga University, Gulbarga as a guest of honor. So I would like to welcome all of you on behalf of our department and on behalf of the Karnataka State Akkamahadevi Women's University and all the participants. I welcome you all, sir.
Yeah, thank you. And then it is nice to connect again with Mallikarjun and then Sanjeev. Sanjeev, I didn't know about your new role. Only day for yesterday, you know, when Matpati told me that you have become Registrar Evaluation, I said I was not aware. Congratulations and wish you all the best in this new role.
Sanjeev sir, unmute yourself.
Yeah.
Sanjeev sir, unmute yourself.
Sir, thank you very much, sir. Mallikarjun sir.
Yes.
With
Thank
your
you.
blessings, I've joined as a registry evaluation 10 months back, sir.
Okay, fine, good, very good. And our
with your
wish-
blessings, I'm able to do
our
best, sir.
platform. Yes.
Thank you very much, sir.
And Mallikarjun sir, kindly unmute yourself as well.
Mallikarjun, where are you? I'm not seeing.
Sir, good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening. How are you?
I'm fine,
you are
sir.
not
I'm fine.
visible.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Mallikarjun sir, you are not visible. Start the video, please.
Video, I think you
Right?
have to.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Now.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Good evening.
Yes, sir.
Nice to connect with all of you again.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so we'll start up with the formal valedictory function. First and foremost, I would like to ask the participants to give their valuable feedback. Couple of the participants, please. First and foremost, I would like to request Anna Sahib Gurav sir, the Dean of Shivaji University, Kolhapur, to give his valuable feedback for us.
Very good evening to one and all. Mallikarjunappa sir, we met 8 to 10 times along with Om Prakash Gupta and Agrawal at Dubai as well as Indore. I'm
Yeah.
very nice to see you. He is my mentor.
Okay. Thank you.
आप क्या करते थे क्या हमारा क्या घर का बात चलता है ऑफिस में बात करते रहते आप आते हैं आना
Recognized, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. We met number of times at Indore, at IIM Bangalore as well as IIM Ahmedabad.
Yeah. Indoor.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I will take only 2 minutes. I will not take much of your valuable time. last 10 to 14 August, I have been observing, listening the 10 sessions of very eminent personalities. I'm very much appreciating the efforts taken by Matpati sir and his team. Very nice resource persons have selected by the organizer. All speakers have spoke very nicely, and all invited speakers, they are just like a rishis in the research. And such a great personalities, Dr. Matpati and his team, his authority have invited, and because of that, the participants enjoyed very nicely. My dear participants, for doing a research, very good amount of hard work is required, and all resource persons did their hard work and they presented their thoughts regarding the research. Because in a research, everything is a matter of research. Just Mallikarjunappa sir has already narrated how to write a research paper, how to publish it, how to prepare the abstract. One of the Om Gupta is there. I'm daily, every Saturday, I'm associated with him in USA, and we are conducting good number of programs. He was asking only 20 words abstract, and writing 20 words abstract, it takes 8 to 10 days. How to eliminate the words? And it is a challenging, and that's why, my dear participants, research is a hard work. Not only hard work, it is a mad work. It is a day and night work. And when we will do it, then only we are able to prove ourselves. It is sad to say that in commerce and management, there are less number of vice chancellors, there are less number of registrars, there are less number of principals in different colleges. I'm coordinating 3 lakh students and 300 institutions because I'm a dean for Faculty of Commerce and Management as a senior faculty member in Shivaji University, Kolhapur, and I'm coming across such a type of limitations. All resource persons have addressed out of the box thinking, lateral thinking for the research. Matpati sir, I'm very much thankful to you as well as your team, your Honorable Vice Chancellor, Registrar, as well as other all dignitaries. He invited very excellent speaker. They contributed very good amount of knowledge. They are very knowledgeable resource persons. And just we heard about the Mallikarjunappa sir. In this 1 week research methodology and data analysis workshop, basically focused on research methodology, review of the literature, different type of research tools, how to select the sample, pilot study, and Cronbach alpha testing, descriptive statistics, non-parametric test. The Patil sir, he is my student, and Mallikarjunappa sir, he is my mentor. Such a great two personalities I met. Not only that, just today's speaker, Mallikarjunappa sir, has addressed about the research paper writing. Sir, I am continuously referring your research papers in the area of commerce and management. You are a great author, contributor in the area of research, how to prepare a research proposal and how to avoid the plagiarism. True, sir. Such a great points, very nice points have covered. My dear participants, in these sessions, 10 sessions of 5 days, the Mallikarjunappa as well as other researchers, with the help of Matpati sir, they were provided the research feast. Bisi badi, kadak roti, ghatte masala, mat hoggi, such a type of food has offered them. I know little bit Kannada, sir.
Okay.
It's such a nice research tiffin has provided. My request to Matpati sir and his team, as well as the respected Mallikarjunappa sir, we will do such a type of activities for the betterment of commerce and management. It is very much essential. Then only future thinkers will come, just like Peter Drucker, F.W. Taylor, William Auche, and many more management guru. Once again, I'm congratulating the Dr. Matpati sir and his team, as well as his authority. If I will come to Vijayapura after this COVID environment, definitely I will make a call and I will come to your place. Thank you and God bless you. Thank you one and all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so very much, Anna sir. Now I request Vishnu Murthy to share his feedback. Yes, Vishnu Murthy sir.
Yeah. Good evening. I'm Dr. Vishnu Murthy, Professor and Dean, IT Engineering College, Srikakulam, Andhra Pradesh. Sir, I have been attending so many webinars, seminars, FDPs for last so many months, for months in this COVID pandemic situation. But this workshop is entirely a different tiffin has given, different snacks have given, and no, most importantly, all no mixed vegetables, tiffin and lunch as well as snacks with mixed vegetables, and no, all states mixed vegetarian, non-vegetarian food is given for researchers like me. So this will give no excellent input to us for further research, sir. We really congratulate the Matpati sir and his team and all the VCs and all the higher authorities for giving opportunity to us to listen to such a nice and no, I cannot say nice and excellent resource persons, which summarized the total presentation within a time and given sufficient inputs to us, which boosted us for further research, sir. It is really from my heart. It is thanking you all and thanking resource persons for their excellent knowledge sharing with us, and highly excellent sessions which we followed, and we thank all the participants for their nice active participants. Thank you very much, sir, for giving me an opportunity for my feedback. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Vishnu Murthy sir. Now I request our guest of honors of today, that is Professor Sanjeev Kumar KM, to address the gathering. Sanjeev sir.
Thank you, Professor Matpati, and good evening to all. First of all, it's my honor to welcome our Professor Mallikarjunappa sir, former chairman and dean of Mangalore University, and now officiating Central University of Kerala, and my dean, Dr. N. Mallikarjun, and Anna Saab Gaurav sir, professor of Kolhapur University, and all participants, and my dear Chandrasekhar Matpati, organizer of this 5 days research methodology. First of all, I congratulate all the participants for having a wonderful session which was conducted by the Department of Management, Karnataka State Akkamahadevi Women's University. It's my honor to congratulate Matpati and the team. And when you talk of research methodology, it is a continuous effort to explore the new dimensions in the areas. As Anna Saab was talking, sir was giving a feedback. The sessions were wonderful, and because the eminent speakers were there in the whole 5 days workshop, and I think most of the knowledge has been shared by the participants, and this can be included in their research in coming days. When you talk of research, the new dimensions to be explored, that is very important today's as we look at the new, when you get some new innovations, and all business models have been changed today because of this COVID-19 and the pandemic we are facing. In this phenomenon, what best research we can do, which is helping the society, is very important. And the tools what Matpati was framed for the course, it will be definitely useful for your further research. And I request all the participants, I request all the scholars to enlighten this knowledge and upgrade their skills and promote which is developing the society. Very important. And use this knowledge. And you have to engage yourself with all the new plethora of areas which is not explored at all. That is very important. Simply doing research is not useful. Which is having a societal impact, which is having a new dimension is very important for the new generation of research, especially in management and commerce. We are the people and professor of University of Kolhapur, sir was telling we have like a slight presentation in all the statutory boards, but in coming days, sir, we'll be holding all such positions like vice chancellor, registrar, and registry evaluation, because the only best strategic decisions we can make is only by the management experts. In coming days, we see my brother also, Mallikarjun, NL, is also occupying the such statutory position in future. And there's always blessings from our senior professors like Mallikarjunappa, always supports us and also guides us. And we are the example of Professor, we are the product of Mallikarjun sir. And I'm happy to say that today I can see the presence of Professor Mallikarjun sir. Sir, thank you, sir. And this is a small input that research is, all the students are requested to, participants are requested to use this knowledge to get a new explore areas which is not explored and conduct a research such that all you get a good name to the institute as well as the university which you are serving. With these words, I thank the organizer Matpati for giving me a time to talk a few minutes. Thank you, sir, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so very much, sir. Now we have one more friend of us, that is Lytton, a participant of this online workshop, would like to give the feedback. Lytton, sir.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible, but you are not visible. Kindly start your audio video.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kindly make it brief, please.
I would like to thank Matpati sir for the opportunity to share my views. I am Lytton from Shivaji University, Kolhapur. So it has been a great opportunity to be part of this special workshop. It has been awesome. This 4 days research methodology and data analysis workshop has been very enriching. And I should thank everyone, especially Matpati sir and his team, for working very hard, because sometimes it has been very difficult. I understand that the online system was not working, but he has made it with his team very perfect. My experience on this particular workshop has been very enriching, because I have learned a great deal, starting from how to formulate research objectives and how to design the study, how to collect the data and analyze the data, even hands-on training on SPSS. So I would like to thank Karnataka State Akkamahadevi Women's University for their hard work and for maintaining everything on time, because I have attended almost, I think, 50 to 60 online workshop and online programs over the past 3 months during this pandemic. And most of the time that I found is that time was like, it was extended unlimited, and there was no control on that. But this particular workshop was excellent. Now, I thank you, sir. Thank for the opportunities, and thank the team for this. I would request that in future endeavors and your workshops, if you kindly put more stress on statistical test, analysis, and hands-on training on SPSS, that will be great for the researcher. with these few words, I would like to thank you once again for the opportunities, and all the best for your university and all the best for your future endeavors. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Lieutenant, for your suggestions and your feedback. And now I request Professor Mallikarjuna NL, Dean and Chairman, Department of Management, Karnataka State Akkamahadevi Women's University, to give a presidential remark. Mallikarjun sir?
You may have to unmute because your voice is not audible. You are visible.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay.
So good evening, sir. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Today is from last 5 days, whatever we are learned from that particular research methodology for online workshop from last 5 days. And today we have come to an end. I hope all the participants and all the resource persons, so whatever they have gained the knowledge, they're shared with the participants. And I hope all the participants have learned a little bit of research methodology from last 5 days, the different resource persons, the different platforms and different techniques to be used in the research methodology. I hope all the participants, they enjoyed, and organizing this workshop in our university, our Honorable Vice Chancellor and respected registrar and our ICT cell, and directly, indirectly, all the supporters, the supporting staff of our university, and especially for Chandru, is organizing very well about this workshop. I will wish everyone for all the best for future research and future. Identified yourself, you are the best research scholars and best academicians in the universities level. So I will wish all the best. Thank you very much for providing me this opportunity to speak few words for this event. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, sir, for your kind words. Now I request our chief guest, Professor Mallikarjunappa, to give a keynote address. Mallikarjunappa, sir.
Yes, sir. Good evening to all of you. Dr. Matpati, Professor Sanjeev Kumar, Professor Mallikarjun, Professor Anna Sahib, Professor Vishnumurthy, Dr. Litton, and all the participants. I'm extremely happy to be amongst all of you. You know, teachers love to travel and also meet the people, but then given the current pandemic, I think travel has become a very, very, rare opportunity. Let us hope that this pandemic situation will find some solution. Some solutions seem to be visible at the world level, but then at the local level, solutions are still elusive, and we hope that that solution will come very fast. Litton, I think he was the last speaker from the participant side, and when he spoke about more number of sessions on SPSS and data analysis, my memory went back immediately to 1992. Maybe some of you may have read about the great market scam of 1992, which was led by Harshad Mehta. The reason I am citing is I was in Mumbai at that time. Now, when Litton spoke about SPSS and then data analysis, I was attending 1 month workshop on research methodology in Tata Institute. Professor Hebsur, a very renowned authority on social science research at that time, he made one remark, and I very much liked it, and then I quote again, just for the information of everybody. He said, after SPSS software has come to the market, railway timetables are more interesting to read than the tables in PhD thesis. I think if you have not seen the railway timetable, please see the railway timetable. The way the timetable captures hundreds of trains around the country, tracing the entire route through which the trains go in a very short and precise book. And it is not easy task. Therefore, Professor Hebsur was telling that the way you are putting the tables using your SPSS, you should be refining. Don't simply replicate the table, put that and then say that, okay, this is 10%, this is 20%, this is 40%. SPSS gives, but then he was advocating that you should also know what the entire results speak about, not just the tables. But it is good for the researchers to learn these things, because if you have to understand what are the contents, how to analyze the entire data, I think you need to learn the techniques, and maybe Dr. Madhpati and his team will take up this entire work in the subsequent workshops, because SPSS has become extremely costly now, and every year they keep on adding the modules, but then they are interesting. So coming back to the research methodology, 1 week long research methodology workshop, I think this is a never ending process. More you learn about research methodology, research, and then more you write, more you read, more you understand that you know less and less. That's the most interesting thing. And the more papers that you submit to good journals, you would really be humbled. You would know where you stand, because the reviewers will thrash your papers left and right and tell you that you are wrong here and therefore your paper cannot be accepted. Or we will accept your paper provided you make all these 20 revisions, 30 revisions, 5-page, 6-page revisions. Even now, when we send the papers along with my researchers, we get these types of comments. And these comments are encouraging for me, because these comments will tell me that we need to improvise. And research is a very, very continuous process. And I don't think you can put limitations of age on research. My appeal to all the youngsters who are attending this workshop, I'm not excluding the people at the professor's level, but then more so for the youngsters. Please do not take this research for promotion's sake alone. Promotion, of course, matters, and then degree matters, and you should get increments, financial benefits, everything is fine. But go beyond that. If you get all these things, don't stop at that stage, because if your research and then the publication PhD is linked to promotion alone, and you don't go ahead and then advance new knowledge and go on writing and rewriting again and again, I think we would be stopping adding to the knowledge. The world is scarce of knowledge today because the pandemic has taught us how short we are in addressing a simple case. Now, when this pandemic started, I was in Kasaragod. I continue to be in Kasaragod even today. Friends of mine from different parts of Karnataka, they were calling. And then they said, why don't you come take a pass and then come? I said, I'll prefer to stay back here because it's not advisable for me to travel. But a friend of mine, when he is told about this issue, I was really surprised. He said, this coronavirus is not new. 8th standard book long ago, about 8-9 years back, had made a mention of this in the biology book in Karnataka state. People never bothered about this virus. But today, when it is spreading and then people do not know how to address these issues, we are trying to find out immediate solutions. But I think immediate solutions are unlikely, and it has exposed how the mankind is exposed to the type of risk. I think if people are involved in continuous research and advancing new knowledge in frontier areas and then the areas which are unknown, I think world will get benefit out of this. And to see that the world gets the benefit of our research, all of us should be continuously involved in research. I think Karnataka state Akkamahadevi Women's University has taken this initiative of triggering the research initiative, triggering the interest in all the researchers. I congratulate the entire team involved, Vice Chancellor, Registrar, and all the authorities, because I know in the university system, a research workshop of this magnitude, that to a virtual research workshop cannot materialize unless you have the active cooperation of all the people. I'm sure you have got active cooperation of all the people. First of all, I thank the registrar evaluation, IQAC, then, planning, monitoring, evaluation, and all the people who are involved in this, and also the Department of Commerce and then Management, Dean, Professor Mallikarjun, Sanjeev, and all the participants for giving this opportunity. I once again, appeal to the researchers. If you send a paper and if you are getting the rejection, don't be discouraged. I'll cite my own example. I think that paper is there now in Vikalpa. If you are interested, you can go through that, T. Mallikarjunappa and then Afzal. And again to Vikalpa, we had sent one more paper. First paper of our to Vikalpa was rejected, giving 4-page reasons why your paper cannot be accepted. 3 different reviewers had given the reviews, and at the end, rejection is the result. So what we did, my student was very much disappointed. I told him, don't get disappointed, because this is the process of research. People will tell you that this is where you are wrong, and we gain out of that. So we sat together and then addressed each one of the questions that were asked, and then we sent it to a foreign journal. There were 3 reviews in the foreign journal, but the paper was ultimately published after 2 years because it went through 3 different reviews, 3 stages, 3 cycles of reviews. Therefore, please keep sending the papers to good research journals, and that is the way the research and then knowledge can be advanced. So I once again congratulate all of you for attending this workshop. I wish you all the best. And I thank Matpati and his entire team, Karnataka State Akkamahadevi Women's University, for giving this opportunity of being a chief guest on this wonderful research methodology workshop. I wish you all the best, and may God bless all of you. And let's pray that all of us would overcome this very difficult situation that the entire world is going through now, the pandemic. Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so very much, sir.
Thank you.
And now we have come up to the end of this 1-week online workshop on research methodology and data analysis. And I would like to extend a gratitude to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Omkar Kakade sir, Registrar, Professor R. Sunandama Madam, Register Evaluation, Professor P.G. Tarsat sir, and all the faculty members of the university, and Professor Mallikarjuna NL, Dean and Chairman of Department of Management, Professor Sanjeev Kumar, Registry Evaluation, Gulbarga University, Professor T. Mallikarjunappa sir, Central University of Kerala, all the research scholars of the department, Dr. Anita Natekar, Associate Professor, Department of Management, and all the participants. Once again, I thank you so very much for the cooperation and the support you have extended. Without you, the workshop wouldn't have been successful. Because I am observing from last 5 days, I hope almost all the participants are very active, very energetic. I hope this will add a certain value to your knowledge. And I thank once again on behalf of our university and on behalf of our department. Thank you. Thank you one and all.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all.